Hey guys, welcome to the Gridcast. It is episode 11 and we are here in Columbus, Ohio at the Arnold Sports Festival. So, I am your host, Danny Cox, and with me is my co-host. He is the box owner and a grid enthusiast, and he's the wonderful byproduct to my protein shake. He is Conan Bruce. Conan.
The byproduct of your protein shake.
Damn right.
You calling me a piece of shit?
Well, you're a beautiful piece of shit.
All right, if you can't see behind us, folks, look. Right behind us, we got the Arnold Weightlifting Championships. Later on today, we're going to have some kick-ass Olympians lifting here.
Yeah, I got Holley Mangold, D'Angelo Osorio, Courtney Batchelor. Kendrick Ferris, yeah, huge lifters here. It's going to be awesome.
You probably can watch it online. I'm not sure if they're streaming it. They said they were trying to. And, oh, by the way, the guys at Highlight Apparel were nice enough to let us carve some space out here in front of their booth because it is a madhouse here at the expo. If you haven't checked out Highlight's gear, I recommend they have some awesome stuff. Highlight.com. And, oh, by the way, if you're a military or first responder, wait for it, you can get 40% off their stuff.
40% off.
Yeah, so
Hell
just
yes.
sign up. You go to, it's called the Service League on their website there. Tyler's getting a little bit of it. Anyway, nice guys. They hooked us up and let us work in front of their booth.
Speaking of hooking us up, so last week we did a big shout out asking for people to, all the other teams to kind of help us fill out our studio inside. And
if you guys look at the last episode, we're doing a wall of shirts.
Yeah.
Basically.
And you know what? Phoenix Rise rose up to the occasion and hooked us up.
Yeah.
I got Phoenix Rise hat.
Really appreciate it, guys. These are some bomb hats. I've been wearing it all over the Arnold and having people ask about grid, which is perfect.
Yeah.
So really appreciate it, guys.
Yeah, it's been awesome. So let's just kick it on over to Quadrant 1.
Quadrant 1, here we come.
Guys. Hey guys, welcome to Quadrant 1 of the Gridcast. So we are here at the Arnold Sports Festival, and last week, 15.1 and 15.1A of the Reebok CrossFit Games Open was completed.
Yes.
You have athletes from all over the world putting in their scores.
Athletes like Danny and I. We did 15-1. Well, it hurt. We did it.
We did the scaled version.
Yeah, we're going back and forth. We're going back and forth.
Knee ups was all right. But you know what? We had a blast, though. Like we talked
we just
about
threw down.
it. Yeah, it was really fun. And I got a PR on my clean jerk.
That's
so
it.
That was pretty exciting.
So this week, 15-2. But let's talk about the athletes from the grid, the sport of grid, how they fared on 15-1.
Yeah, so who's leading on the male side? That'd be Miami Surge's Nick Uranker, friend of the show.
Badass.
Oh, my God, total badass. And who won 15-1A? Oh, the new pickup from the DC Brawlers, Becca Day.
Becca Day.
With the 265, I think it's 265-pound clean and jerk.
Yeah, so the league put out an article, didn't they? Enlisted all the athletes. We got a list of them.
The NPGL put out an article, and so here it is. So Matt Frazier, another one from Baltimore Anthem, first in the Northeast and third in the world. You had Alex Smith, another Baltimore Anthem, second in the Mid-Atlantic and 24th in the world. Pretty damn good. From the New York Rhinos, got another friend of the show, Sarah Beth Phillips. She was third in the Southeast, 27th in the world so far. For the Miami Surge, again, Nick Uranker, but we also had Nicole Capurso, second in the Mid-Atlantic, 33rd in the world. You had Lindsay Valenzuela, second in Southern California, 15th in the world. Tanya Osborne from LA Reign, first in the World Masters.
Crazy. So go online and check out this list. Because
it's amazing.
The one takeaway, the one reason why we wanted to talk about this is we think it's important that, and I think we're at that point now, right? We're mature enough as a sport that we can just go ahead and accept the fact and put out there that we can say the word CrossFit and we can have, because that's a different sport. Grid is a wholly different sport than CrossFit. I'm not talking about CrossFit, the fitness methodology. We're talking about the sport, CrossFit, the competitive sport. Now, so we can talk about the two, and athletes who do this are no different than any other multi-sport athlete. If I played lacrosse and rugby, right? That's two different sports.
Yep.
If I played, if I was a badass and wanted to play pro football and then go play pro basketball, I'd be a multi-sport athlete.
Yep.
This is no different. These are two different sports. They look very similar, but they are very different. What's exciting is that these athletes can work at that high level and be able to go back and forth. I'm not sure everybody's going to be able to do that.
Yeah, and I don't know in the future, 2, 3, 4 years from now, if that's still going to be the case.
It'll be interesting to see, right?
We'll see what happens.
I think there are going to be some anomalies. There are going to be some athletes that are just wicked good.
Yep.
That they're just, again, anomalies, not normal athletes. But by and large, I think you will start to see a split as people decide which way they want to go with grid or with CrossFit or with weightlifting, because behind us yesterday and today, we've had several people that we know that the league has contacted. Why? Because they're viciously good at weightlifting, right? And they're quick, they're powerful, and they would probably make a good grid athlete. So all these sports are kind of overlapping, which is not a bad thing.
Not a bad thing at all. As a matter of fact, you have one of the best athletes in the NPGL, Sarah Beth Phillips, member of the American Open. She won in her weight class.
Yeah, absolutely. And she's a gymnast.
Yeah, and then you have also Nicole Capurso. She competes on the national stage, and she's also in the NPGL.
Yeah, so we think this is a good thing for both sports. We don't think it's anything negative, and we like to hear people talk about both sports and not kind of in a hush-hush manner.
Thank God.
Just say it out loud.
Yes,
right?
It's okay to say the Reebok CrossFit Games. It is the sport of Reebok.
And I'm a proud CrossFit affiliate owner. I love CrossFit. I love what it does for people, makes people's lives better. It is something that we all should embrace. But it's two different sports, and let's just rock on.
Yeah, let's just rock on, yeah.
All right, speaking of rocking on, we're going to move on over to Quadrant 2. We have Mark Cannella from Columbus Weightlifting. He is the guy that basically brought weightlifting to the Arnold, and it's been, I want to say, like 13, 15 years. When we talk to him, he'll tell us all about it. And then we're rolling into Quadrant 3, and we have an awesome guest, which we're going to hold and tell you about in Quadrant 2.
Yeah, that's right.
So hold on for that, all right? So without further ado.
Let's kick it on over to Quadrant 2.
See you over there. Welcome, Goodcast fans, here to Quadrant 2. We are here at the Arnold Sports Festival with Mark Cannella from Columbus Weightlifting. Mark is what's the title, man? Event director, meet all
director
things great.
Work. Chairman, meet director.
Right, runner of
Grand
all
Poobah.
things. Right,
yes.
Grand Poobah of weightlifting
Yes.
at the Arnold. How about that?
Loader.
So we came out here to the Arnold. I usually call it the Arnold Classic. That was that's what it used to be called,
Yes,
right?
yes.
Okay, now it's the Arnold Sports Festival. And if you've never been here, you've got to come out and check this out because they've got every sport you can possibly imagine. But here we are in the warm-up room of the Arnold Sports Festival for weightlifting. So
Training hall.
Training hall.
Yes.
Man, you got to get all the terms right.
That is true.
I haven't done it yet. So one of the things we wanted to hook up with you, Mark, is to give us a sense of, because you've got a long history with weightlifting. You've coached some incredible athletes and love to hear about some of those. But how did this whole thing come into, how did Columbus Weightlifting and weightlifting in general get meshed into the Arnold? What's the history?
So Columbus Weightlifting was established in 1999. I was not part of it at that time. A few years later, I came back from California after retiring from weightlifting, got involved in Columbus, Ohio, moved back home, and worked with Dan Bell, who was the head of Columbus Weightlifting at that time. Also Megan Tornson DeForney. Hopefully that's not me, whatever that is. When I went ahead and got involved, they at that time got Megan, who was a fitness person, and what she did was presented for fitness many of the things that for us fed into what we wanted to do for weightlifting. Hold on a second, guys.
We got to turn the.
Yeah,
you got a walkie-talkie. You
Yeah.
know you're important when you're walking around this place with a walkie-talkie.
So we held, because of Megan's influence with the fitness, a presentation, if you want to call it, at the Ohio State Fair in 2001 and 2002. Jim Lorimer, the director for the Arnold, saw that. Arnold himself said, I want weightlifting in there. They recommended us, and then that happened in 2003. 2002, this became my capstone project for school, which, how cool is that,
That's
right?
pretty cool.
Yeah. So I was able
First, it's cool to get an endorsement by Arnold himself saying,
Yep.
I want weightlifting here.
Exactly, because he used to be a weightlifter.
Right.
Many people don't know that
Yep.
for Austria. And then for that, for my school, somebody to okay or green light, if you want to call it, hey, for your capstone project, you can produce basically the Arnold and produce the deliverables, and then here you go a year later. Kicked that out. 2003 was our inaugural year, and here it is 13 years later with the most prize money we've ever had, the biggest basically event that we've had. As Jim Lorimer would say, bigger and better every year. That's what I think we did this year. Over $40,000 in prize money.
That's
Holy
crazy.
cow.
I know.
Yeah, big time stuff.
And you go, and every time we come out and see, not just a weightlifting event here, but in general, it's become such a spectator sport.
Sure.
It used to be just like, your buddies or your helper, whoever, your coach.
Right.
Like those were the people sitting out there. And now you see people literally just waiting in between lifts, like when there's a break.
Yes.
Like for an hour. And then the lifts start again. Like that's pretty cool.
To give you a sheer size and scope of the Arnold, when we first started, there was 70,000 fans and about 8,000 athletes. Now it's 200,000 fans, 18,000 athletes, 200,000.
Holy cow.
And what's considered now the biggest sports expo of its kind. There's nothing bigger. It's the world's largest.
I was going to say there's more athletes here than there were at the Olympics.
That is correct.
Yeah.
Sheer size and scope.
Crazy.
Yeah.
Almost double.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
about $55 to $60 million flows into the city in these 4 days.
That's amazing.
Yes.
Wow.
So, our podcast, we usually cover grid stuff. Like,
Sure.
that's our deal. But one of the things I always ask weightlifting coaches, either on the show or off the show, is so we have a lot of weightlifters that are coming to the grid sport, right?
Which is awesome.
Yeah, it is. It's got because grid embraces specialists, which a lot of functional fitness competitions don't. You kind of have to be a generalist, good at all things. Grid is made for people that are good at one thing. Now, they might have to be decent at other things, but they'd be really good at something, whether it's gymnastics, body movements, or weightlifting. And particularly weightlifting, everybody's got to be able to snatch or clean. Like it's part of every athlete's repertoire in grid. So as an amazing weightlifting coach as you are, you have some giving you some props, Meg. Just because I know you are a great coach. We love having you in our gym. We love it when you come and do the
USAWs.
the seminars. I don't know if you call them certifications or seminars for USAW, right?
Correct. Yeah,
Yeah,
so we
so-
do the beginning course and then the advanced course.
So let's say an athlete comes to you and says, "Hey, coach, I either want to be a grid athlete, or maybe I've had a grid team talk to me because I'm a good weightlifter." What would you tell them? So in grid, the cycle times are a little faster. There's less time to kind of set up, prepare for the lifts. What kind of things would you tell that athlete?
So one of the things that I would stress, even though you're talking about a time factor, is the technique, even though you don't have a lot of time to set up, is to do one thing every single time, is sit to the bar. If you sit to the bar, you'll get your legs involved. That's the biggest thing you want to do in weightlifting. Get your legs involved, and you can get a good result. Good start equals good finish. So one thing, even with the setup, you can be very quick by just sitting down. If you can do that one thing, you're going to be very successful in the grid league.
That sounds good. And the other thing I always ask weightlifting coaches is if you have a new athlete that comes to you, which is more important initially, getting their strength higher or they're getting their technique solid?
You want to get their technique solid. If you look at it from a golf adage, you drive for show, you putt for dough. That technique, same thing. You want to get the technique dialed in. Once you get that, build the strength. Then you actually have a solid, polished product.
All right, all you potential grid league athletes out there, take note. All right, this guy knows what he's talking about when it comes to weightlifting. Thanks for being on the show. Thanks for putting on this amazing event. We cannot wait to watch Holley lift tomorrow, by the way.
Yes.
That's going to be pretty badass. Holley Mangold, which is coming up in Quadrant 3. We're going to do an interview with her. So
Excellent.
Without any further ado, let's roll on to Quadrant 3.
Hey guys, welcome to Quadrant 3 of the Gridcast. We are here with the great Olympian Holley Mangold. How are you?
I was hoping you were going to say Olympic hopeful.
No, hell no. I mean, you
So
are
maybe.
pretty much a badass, and yes, you are an Olympic hopeful, but you are an Olympian. You already have that title,
I do.
which is pretty amazing.
I should be more excited about that, but I'm
It's like she's just like, yeah, I'm an Olympian. And
no, I'm focused on the next one. We all start from a clean slate.
as you should.
Well, speaking of starting from a clean slate, let's start from your first athletic background. So you didn't start weightlifting until 2008, am I right?
Yes.
And before that, what were you doing?
Well, I was a football player, so I played football for 12 years.
Football runs in the family.
Yes. My brother does. He still plays for the Jets. They're rebuilding right now.
We'll call it rebuilding. It's fine.
yeah.
It's fine. I'm a football fan. I'm a Redskins fan. Sorry.
We've been
rough.
rebuilding for decades.
It's been a long time of rebuilding.
My brother does play for the Jets, and we had it. I still firmly believe that if I was born a guy, I'd be playing NFL football right now.
Oh,
I had
absolutely.
phenomenal footwork. I would have been better than my brother. But
Do you remind him of that every single day?
yeah, he also reminds me that I'm awful, so it's hurtful.
And then you go Olympian.
yeah.
Right.
yeah.
Something
No.
you can't say, bro.
He did. No, he did an interview, and we did an interview back when I was in high school, and they asked me to rate what I thought my footwork was like, and I was like, I'm like an 8, like a 1 out of 10. I'm great. Nick does the same question, and he goes, she's a 1.5. No, take that back. It's a 1. I was like, thanks.
Thanks a lot. Appreciate it.
It got me.
Much
He's a
love,
good
bro.
brother.
Yeah.
Appreciate it. Thanks a lot. So you were also on MTV True Life back then, right?
Yeah, that was crazy.
Yeah, it is pretty crazy. And then you went from football, and then you went into weightlifting. So how did you find the sport of weightlifting?
it was kind of crazy. So I started powerlifting to get better at football because, I was 15 going against like 18-year-old men,
Yeah.
I mean, there's a point in time where it's like, boom, they all of a sudden get like a lot more jacked and a lot more testosterone. It was a real bummer for me. But
It's called puberty.
Yeah, it was a real bummer. We had a lot of late springers, and it was
My
it was a
voice at
bummer.
33 is still confused sometimes whether I went through puberty or not.
Yeah. Well, these guys definitely shot up and were bigger. So I went into powerlifting, and I went into that for like 3 years, and it was phenomenal. I mean, I broke a lot of state records and did a lot of fun stuff. And I've always wanted to go to the Olympics, like ever since I was a little kid. For a while, I thought it would be gymnastics. My body definitely had a different plan. Like I was not 4'11"
Right.
and
Sure.
85 pounds.
Yeah.
And, then I did track and field for a long time, and I liked it. And I actually went to college on a track and field scholarship.
Yeah.
But I wanted something different. And my dad actually found Olympic weightlifting. I was like, this is in the Olympics. And I was like, oh, I'm pretty good at, lifting some weights. So let's give this a try. The first practice I had, I fell in love. I was obsessed. It was amazing. And I finally found that like passion great athletes have talked about where they're like, I can't imagine my life doing anything else. And that's when I knew this was the sport that was going to take me to the Olympics.
And where was that?
That was Cincinnati. Cincinnati Weightlifting Club was the first club I was actually in.
Okay, so in this story now, so you're in college, you're in a track and field scholarship, and at some point you say, I need to pursue weightlifting full-time to make that decision. So how did that come about?
So I was with Dan Bell, and Dan Bell actually, I would say, created me because he dedicated his life to coming down to my school. He was an hour and 15 minutes away to train me like twice a week, and I would go up there. We just switched back and forth, and there was finally a time where many a times we were talking, and he was like, if you want to do something great, you gotta get out of here. Like
Right.
you're not. I was half-assing training. Like I was not doing a lot. And
What was half-ass training
you had
for
the
you?
ability, but maybe not quite the commitment.
yeah, well, yeah, and I wanted more commitment, but I was actually on track and field. I was also on scholarship for swim team.
So you're spreading it thin
So
already.
and I had 3 majors. So I had
Holy
it
crap.
was
So you were committing.
It
It's
was
just to a
insane.
lot of things.
Yeah. So my day was like 6 a.m. swim practice. From 8 to 3 would be school, and then
Oh, wow.
3:30 to 5:30 was track and field, and then I'd drive an hour and 15 minutes, train with Dan, and come back. And it just wasn't enough.
Holy crap.
Yeah, it was I don't know what I was doing. I also drank quite a bit during that, so I don't know how all that worked.
Well, you were in college.
Yeah.
How it works is you just fit the alcohol in wherever you
Yeah,
want to.
wherever I could.
On the way to class. On the way home. I mean,
whatever.
sorry.
The Coke can wine. Have you ever done that?
Oh, absolutely.
No.
Who hasn't?
It's classy.
Never heard of that.
Classy.
Have you seen the coffee cup that says there's a chance this might be wine?
No, but I need to get that. But so I finally decided I had to drop out. And actually what happened, the unfortunate part, but it was actually good. One of my really good friends, Maggie Castellano, passed away.
Mm-hmm.
And she was always the one that was like, quit being an idiot. Like, this is your time. Go train.
Right.
So after she passed away, I was like, this is it. Life is short. I gotta get out there and
Gotta go
give it a
for it.
try.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's pretty crazy. And what direction did you head?
I packed everything up in my 2000 Impala and drove down to Don McCauley in Savannah and trained there for like 2 or 3 months trying to get into the training center, and finally got into the training center, and it was cool and awesome. And then
And what's
I
that
got
process
kicked out of the
like?
training center.
What's that process like, though? I mean, getting into the training center. We'll get to the kicked out part. It's like,
Yeah.
I mean, getting into, because a lot of people don't know. Like, even if you follow the sport of the weightlifting, there's just kind of a lot of unknowns as to how this process works, and maybe there isn't really a process, but there's things that you can do to kind of get yourself to where you're at, right?
Well, one, be young.
Right.
So
you got to start young.
Yeah. So be young, because they didn't even really like the fact that I was 20.
Right.
Like, that was
That's
a little
kinda
too old for
right?
them.
Yeah.
And I filled out, you just fill out an application and you put all the stuff that you want and you write, this is what I'm going to do. And you really just hope that they pick you. I mean, there's a bunch of people out there. You don't know if they're going to pick you or not. I might have had a better chance since I was actually filming MTV during that time.
So it didn't hurt.
To be honest,
Yeah.
I mean, to be fair.
Sure.
But, I had showed a lot of potential. I mean, I won American Open before that, and I won Junior Nationals. So I think if you have the criteria and then you
Sure.
make the list and get out there, hopefully, and then once you're out there, do something.
So you got out to the training center.
Yep, I was there for 3 months.
Pretty intensive.
Yeah, I lost 90 pounds in that 3 months because I used to push close to 400, and lost a bunch of weight. Lifts were going great. Everything was awesome. Hadn't seen my family in like 9 months. I'm a big family person. So I come back to Ohio for a meet, and I bomb out. And then they kicked me out.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it was a little rough, though, because in that process, they were like, you just don't have the potential for 2012. You're a 2016 athlete.
Right.
That's a
It
dagger.
burned.
And where were you in
Deep burn.
2012?
Yeah. Let's remind people.
Yeah.
Where were
The
you?
Olympics.
Boom.
Yeah. So
So you can kiss my ass.
I actually think it was good. Like, it had such a fire under
Well,
me. 'cause
sometimes
I was
you got to have that, right?
I'm fueled by hate
Yeah.
and bitter. Like, that's like,
So you
that's
gotta
how I
get your
live my
fuel from
life.
somewhere.
Yeah. So
when you
I'm
get over
waiting
the
for
bar,
someone to hate me now.
when you're over the bar, do you find the dark place then, or do you go to a happy place?
Oh, I go to a happy place over the bar.
Oh, okay.
But like
that's
in
good.
training, like to actually get myself to the gym, I'm like, I'm gonna show these like
You can say whatever you want to on our
anger.
podcast.
I got
by the
really
way.
nervous.
This is the internet. We can curse.
Well, my poor mother, she's a saint. I can't.
God bless her.
I try really hard. Yeah.
We'll send
Bless
her.
her soul.
We'll send her a bleeped out version.
Yeah.
Don't listen to it on.
Sometimes
the
I never know what she's gonna find on the internet. I'm like, please. The tattoo being on the internet was great.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, that was wonderful. Getting a phone call
Thanks.
from my mother.
Is there some sarcasm in there?
Yeah.
Well, I think you posted up on Instagram and Facebook enough that lots of people saw it.
Yeah.
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 So how did you get with Columbus weightlifting?
So after I got kicked out of the training center, I hit a real dark place. I had to get surgery. That was the worst thing. And I had to get surgery on my knee. I had a meniscus tear.
Bummer.
And yeah, it was a real bummer, especially because it would have been free if it was at the training center. Yeah, real bummer. Those medical bills just keep stacking up. But I went home. So I went home to get the surgery, and I really was kind of homeless. I didn't have a college to go to. I wasn't at the training center, so I moved back in with my parents. And I was talking to Dan. Dan was still my coach, and I was like, where do I go? What do I do? And he was like, Mark Cannella, great coach. You'll have a great time recovering there and try to get back into the training center. So I went to Columbus Weightlifting really as a placeholder to go back to the training center. And I was there for, I don't know, like a month and a half, went to the Arnold and PR'd a month and a half after surgery.
Damn.
Like, it was crazy. And
Holy crap.
Yeah, and Drew Dillon comes over to me and was like, you sure you want to leave? I was like, no, I don't actually. I think I'm going to stay. This is
Things
nice.
are working out over here.
Hell yeah.
So I ended up staying and being with Columbus Weightlifting.
Yeah, which seems like it's been a pretty good ride. I remember running into you in Charlotte, North Carolina. This is a few years back when I went to my USAW Level 1. And Drew and Mark were teaching it, and I think you might have come in at some point and were helping. And I just remember watching, kind of, you knew who you were, right? I just remember watching you and watching how fast you were and thinking to myself, people would have, if you're outside of weightlifting, I have a powerlifting background, so we're kind of slow a little bit. But when you watch weightlifters, you have to appreciate how fast you move your body. Right?
Yeah.
And how athletic that is, because
Holy crap.
holy shit. You just threw a car over your head, dropped underneath it, and said, I'll stand up now. Right?
Yeah.
That's pretty much what it is.
Yeah.
And I think once people kind of see that, though, that's what mesmerizes them by weightlifting, right?
Yeah.
And it's become a spectator sport because, yes, absolutely CrossFit had a lot to do with it because people got into the gym, started doing the snatch and the clean and jerk. But then you can appreciate when you snatch 95 pounds, you're like, woo, wow, that was hard. And you go, wait a minute, they just did, 150 kilos. Yeah, so it was fun watching for sure. And it got me jazzed about it.
Thanks. It's funny, but it always cracks me up when people are like, I'm shocked you're so fast. Like, they look at me, they're like, someone wrote an article and was like, that big girl sure can move. It was funny because it's like, yeah.
But it takes some athleticism, though. I mean, it may seem normal to you, right? But I guarantee you can drop under that weight faster than I can, look to my left, right? I mean, it's fast.
That's
absolutely
the
true.
goal.
Yeah.
What is your current maxes? What are your PRs right now in the clean and jerk and the snatch?
Like, after surgery? So...
after wrist surgery?
After wrist surgery, my best right now is 105 and 141.
105, 141. What was it pre-surgery?
118 and 147.
So you're getting close.
Yeah, so
Getting
I'm
really
having
close.
right now. I'm so large that it's hard for me to tighten my back in the bar. There's just a lot of body in between, so that's why the snatch is a little rough.
Okay.
Clean and jerk is probably going to get better, but I'm hoping for quite higher numbers in the snatch for this meet. That was Worlds, so that was back in
You've
Forever ago.
had quite a long time to train since then. And for people that don't know, your wrists were a big problem in the Olympics. Right?
Yeah. I had
That's
I
the
got
surgery
injured.
you're talking about on your wrists, right?
Yeah, I got injured like 3 days before I left for London. I actually tore a ligament and then kept training on it because it was like 3 weeks before I actually competed, or 2 weeks. And I ended up tearing every single ligament I had and then fracturing it in the competition.
In the competition.
Yeah, so I'm shocked I was able to total.
Yeah.
Like, I was really happy I could total. Like,
Absolutely.
Before I...
And beat a few.
Yeah. Before I competed, though, I couldn't snatch over 70 kilos. And I had to open with 105. So it was like, it's a mental, like, mind fuck to try to
Hell yeah.
turn it.
Yeah, you have
Mom,
to be able to get yourself.
don't watch.
Sorry.
You have to be able to get yourself into a.
Sorry, Mom.
Sorry.
You got to be able to get into a serious mindset to make that happen.
Yeah, it was crazy. And I couldn't clean and jerk over 100, and I had to open at 135.
It just shows what kind of hell of an athlete you are to be able to do that.
right.
So we're Olympics, man. They do something to you. It's crazy.
Right.
It's like Hulk strength.
Yeah, I bet.
My wrist is breaking. I don't get it.
I still got this. Don't worry. So what are you looking for tomorrow for total? What are you aiming for?
Well, I never like to say what you're aiming for because you're always setting yourself either too low or too high, or you get it right in what you say, and that's
Right.
not good either. You should
Right.
be pushing
No, you're
for
right.
more.
Pushing, right.
You're absolutely right.
How about snatching the
but-
shit out of it?
Yeah, that would be nice. I'm opening. I'll say this. I'm opening at 100 and 140.
Okay.
So,
Nice.
So it's good. So a lot of room to roam.
Yeah.
We'll be there rooting you on.
Thank you.
Hell yeah.
Should be
So thanks
fun.
for joining us on the show.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Glad to be here. This is fun.
All right, guys.
Sitting and talking.
Yeah, that's just what we do.
I could do it all day.
So anyway, thanks for joining us on the show, and let's kick it on over to Quadrant 4.
Welcome back, Gridcast fans. Here we are in Quadrant 4. We moved over to the training room for Quadrant 2 and 3, where we really appreciate Mark Cannella and Holley Mangold for being on the show. By the way, Mark Cannella, Columbus Weightlifting, huge thank you for helping us come here in the first place.
That was awesome. We got to be in the training room with Jerry Lee Vega and Holley Mangold, and God, there's just a ton of athletes that were out there. D'Angelo Osorio warming up. That was incredible.
A lot of world-class athletes.
Hell yeah.
And a big shout out to highlead.com again for letting us camp out here 2 or 3 times during the day. I don't know if the camera's getting it, but this place is a madhouse. It's really cool, though. If you ever come, make sure you're not afraid of people.
Yeah. you got to pull them over.
And you're not claustrophobic.
That's right. And Phoenix Rise, thank you very much.
Yeah, guys, we will have the T-shirt up on the wall when we get back to the house.
Yes.
And so what do we got coming up?
Yes, we have in South Carolina. I got the pro day next weekend.
Yep, Columbia, South Carolina. We're going to be there next weekend. Then after that, we got the Combine in D.C. What date is that? April?
It's mid-April. Yeah, mid-April. I can't remember the exact dates.
And after that, guys, we won't be in San Francisco's pro day, but we are going right back up there for the
start of the season.
San
Jose.
Anaheim, San Jose for all the grid matches. So we're going to see you there.
Yeah, until next time, guys, clean up your jerks and snatches, drink your beer in batches, and always dominate your grid matches.
See you guys.
See ya.